Let's bring in Donte Williams now. And, Coach, at the end, you made a run at it. It looked like a game that might get away. And then all of a sudden it was a one-score game. But ultimately, what was the difference for you between the two teams in South Bend?
Still the mistakes. I mean, when we got into a one-score game, we made mistakes. Right away you miss an extra point, and then you get a couple of costly penalties, whether it was a PI or sportsmanlike, you get a couple of penalties, and it helps to drive for them to get on down the field and get that last score. So, I mean, no matter where it was in the game, even when we tried to make it a close game and tried to make a comeback, it was still too many mistakes against a pretty good damn team.
Coach, early on it looked like the offensive line was struggling. When you go back and watch the film, was it more of, would you say, young inexperience in the big lights, or was it Notre Dame scheme, or was your quarterback holding the ball? What did you see from the sacks and the early pressure?
A little bit of to be honest, just young guys who still kind of trying to find their way as far as being like a little 285 pounds, and still the weight room. They're still developing, and Notre Dame has some guys that's rushing off the edge that are seniors.
Yep.
So the following year Notre Dame will have young guys there, and those guys will be a lot more developed. So just some guys that still figuring the game out a little bit, and as the game slowed down, they got a little used to the speed. They was able to play a lot better.
I feel like every time I heard Coach Kelly talk about his bye week, it was about self-scout and breaking tendencies, and he referenced that in the post-game interviews as well. Going into that game, did the game plan match what you thought you were going to get versus what Notre Dame actually brought to the park on Saturday?
I mean, they did a little bit of different things because, in the past games, they played three quarterbacks a lot, no matter where it was on the field. So just the tendencies are going to break a little bit just because they brought the, number 12 in, the freshman Ty. They brought him in more in the red zone type of deal. So just to use him as a runner, but when he comes in, he's going to be used as a runner. They just didn't use him more in the field, and they kind of did some things they usually do. The tempo, they sped up a little bit. They changed personnel a lot more than what they have in the past game, meaning every play. So I mean, they did some things that of course caused some issues, but they are who they are as far as a big physical line. Tight ends are darn good, and they try to get their receivers one-on-one matched up. You see right away they tried to go to some deep shots, and luckily for us, Chris stepped up and made those plays.
Do you feel like you figured something out in the red zone within this game? Because the first half was the struggle again, sort of a similar story, points left in the field. Second half, though, it seemed like you really ran the ball well in the red zone, something that had been missing throughout the year. How much does that maybe give you hope going forward that you can finish more of these drives?
To be honest, I like the way we kind of ran the ball all year besides one game. Our biggest thing is making sure that, we just stick with it. And, no matter if that's the beginning of the game or the middle of the game or the end. So just got to stick with the running game. We have, some darn good running backs, and we have some O-linemen that, they definitely want to tee off the line of scrimmage. And, I mean, I haven't played O-line, but I'm sure it's a lot easier to go forward than going backwards all the time. So just to keep, the opponent on their heels and making sure we do what we need to do to succeed in the red zone, at the same time making sure when teams get in the red zone on us that we stop them and hold them to 3.
Coach, you had a chance for the 4-minute drill there before halftime. What are the teachable moments you try to teach the kids going into that after what looked like a mismanagement of what was going on? What do you kind of go back and tell the team?
Well, one of the things is darn sure in this week in practice we're going to practice making sure we run the field and spike the ball. That's one thing. And, just pretty much guys just making sure we all understand the situation a lot better as far as running back to the line of scrimmage, whether it's a receiver that ran down the field or, just at that moment in time, just key to maybe even throwing the ball away. Just whatever the case may be, making sure we do what we need to do in that particular moment to make sure we succeed, and worst case scenario, come away with 3.
Coach, the losses early on in the season, it felt like we got to the third quarter and then the wheels started to fall off a little bit. Not guys giving up, but guys struggling to get that momentum heading into the fourth quarter. This game, you had that little spark in the third quarter going into the fourth quarter. I saw your comments talking about, hey, you felt like you just ran out of time, didn't lose the game, just ran out of time. Is there anything positive you can take from that in the team's ability to maybe not throw up the white flag and respond on the road and give yourself a chance in the fourth quarter?
Definitely. I mean, you look at these guys and we're doing so many different things that are off the field that are different as far as, no hats, no beanies in the building, as far as being accountable when it comes to academics and everything else you do. It's just, it sucks that people only see the result that's on the field on Saturday. There's so many other things that are going on. And, if you could talk to some of these guys on the team and, see how they're responding, there's no quitting them. But at the same time, it's definitely some things to take from that game. You know, we played a Midwest team that pride themselves on being physical and when it's line of scrimmage. And you can look at that tape. You don't see us getting dominated at all at the line of scrimmage. If not, you see a stalemate on most of the plays or us winning. So that's definitely something we can take on as a positive. As you know, we look at this backstretch of Pac-12 play.
You're listening to Donte Williams, interim head coach for USC football. I did want to go back to that scenario that Sean was discussing, just because I had a question that I feel like I've never asked, and I've sort of wondered. So you're a head coach that doesn't call the offensive plays. There are many out there. So it's not an abnormal situation. So how much of the clock management when you get in that situation is on you? I mean, obviously you're in control of the timeouts, but if Graham's calling the plays, I mean, how much does he need to focus on that? And then, you know, a lot of it's happening fast, and Keaton's making decisions. So what's the sort of decision-making tree in those situations when you're at less than a minute? We saw a couple running plays in there. It was, there's 3 different people involved.
Well, the running plays are a little bit by design, you know, and that's just the fact is that you call some of these pass plays that have run options, and Keaton has the option based off, you know, what the box is. At the same time, you know, at that scenario, you almost want to take the run option out of it, and just so he knows it's a particular pass, right? But yet he called a run play, and the run play worked for some yards. Yep. At the same time, that run play got us at least in the worst-case scenario in field goal range. So you can't look at that as a bad play because that at least got you to where you could get 3 points before the half, right? What sucks is the very next play was a pass play, and you send receivers so far down the field that it's all a rush situation where you will hope that right after run play we could just spike the ball, hopefully get one pass just so everybody on offense could calm down, maybe take one shot deep in the end zone, right, or you take one shot a little deeper down the field and get out of bounds to maybe even get one more shot, or you take one more shot as far as down the field, incomplete, cool, kick the field goal, right? Just no matter what, just to preserve 3 and not just think that we have to get 7 in that situation, but just to get something out of that drive. That was a good drive going to end the half.
Coach, defensively, you watched the film a little bit, and I thought, you know, the missed tackles kind of reared their head. You know, what's the solve when you're in the middle of the season, and how do you get guys to kind of really focus in and get that mindset of tackling?
You know, it's a combination of a lot of things. Like I said, we played a lot of young guys in that game, especially in the first half, right? We played a lot of young guys in the first half, which I think led to the comeback in the second half, just on both sides of the ball, guys being fresh, right, and being able to still play, and that led to us, you know, having a little bit of that comeback. At the same time, like a lot of tackling to me, like everybody says, you know, it's hard, and you can't question the way that these guys playing if it's hard. So a lot of it comes down to the technical aspects, which is, in my opinion, which is your leverage, right, your eyes and your feet. It's, you know, where's your eyes targeting? And if right now, if you look at a lot of times when we're missing tackles, guys are hitting above the hips. And you start hitting some of these big old guys above the hips. I mean, all these running backs nowadays squat over 500 pounds, and so you're leaving a 500-pound thing free. Yeah. And you hit them up high. So, you know, some of those are causing missed tackles. At the same time, the way a lot of guys are taught to tackle now, they're taught to almost tackle on the butt side. So now you get some of these big, strong guys, like I said, with 500-pound squats, and you're trying to pull them down with one arm, and you're not getting your body across. So a lot of it is habits that people have taught over time, and you're trying to correct them, during the course of the season.
Coach, you mentioned in last week's show guys getting increased roles right there. You mentioned some young guys getting more run on Saturday. Is that something that will continue and continue to progress throughout the rest of the season?
I believe so. I mean, it's a lot of guys that got increased roles in this past game and played well. I mean, Notre Dame's a really good football team. It's the reason why they ranked, I believe, like 10th in the country. It's not like it's just an average Joe. At the same time, it's a rivalry game, right? They have some very good players. So, I mean, you saw guys like Kalen Bullock in there a lot more. You saw Jalen Smith in there a lot more. You saw Cal Ford in there a lot more. So just, you know, some guys to just name a few. But at the same time, you even saw guys from the past maybe playing a little more like Jalen McKenzie. So, you know, like I say, it's going to be whatever guys that we feel gives the best chance to win. It's a combination of things.
All right, Donte Williams and crew are looking to get back on the winning track on Saturday. It's homecoming game, Arizona, Saturday, 4 p.m. kickoff. Trojan Tailgate Show will start at 2 p.m., but we've got Coach Williams for one more segment coming up on Trojans Live. Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football, and by Ralph's. Get ready for game day with the Ralph's app. Enjoy free delivery with the Delivery Savings Pass and save on your fresh tailgating faves. Ralph's is a proud partner of USC Athletics. Fight on, restrictions apply. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and the interim head coach Donte Williams. back for another segment with us, and a guy you brought up in the last segment, Coach, a guy that you've worked hands-on with, Chris Steele. We talked to him after the game. He was pretty honest with us that he used the bye week to sort of reset himself. Didn't feel like the first half of the season he played to his capabilities. What have you been working on with him now that maybe you had a little bit more time to get back in the lab with him, and what did he show you on Saturday with maybe his best game of the season?
Well, he definitely showed me, for one, I already knew Chris is competitive. So, I mean, he's a fiery guy, but at the same time, he has to be able to channel sometimes that anger to be a positive and not a negative, not feed sometimes the anger. I think he plays a lot better when he's level-headed. And, they tried him deep in that game 4 times. 2 of them he broke up. 1 he intercepted, and the other one, was a referee called PI.
Yeah, borderline.
Yeah, and, he had tackle for loss, but at the same time, I don't really look at those plays. I look at sometimes the plays that I felt that he could have made a lot better, right? It was a couple of mistakes that he made that, we continue to clean up. He's nowhere near a finished product, but like you say, in the middle of the season, that was the best game he's played so far this year by far, in my opinion, and I think it would only continue to get better.
Coach, when you watch the game, it looks like a lot of team strategy defensively is to not let you guys get over the top, not make you guys kind of earn that whole drive, make you push a 10, 12-play drive, and it's been a struggle at times. What's the key to getting that home run play and opening up the defense so you can kind of work a lot more stuff?
To be honest, get the lead.
Mm-hmm.
I think, once you get the lead, you get other defenses to kind of sell out to try to stop you or try to get, cause you to make a mistake, whether it's a pick, tackle for loss, a sack, just whatever the case may be, and get them from being able to drop 8 sometimes because we have the lead. So once, we accomplish that, which, I feel that we will start accomplishing those goals, and then I think that would change and that will open up some bigger plays.
Jumping back to the Chris Steele talking point, I think one thing we forget about is we're so used to you being the head coach now. It's been over a month that, hey, wasn't that long ago you were coaching up the DBs consistently. How has that, changed and progressed over the past month or so with you putting how much time you're putting in with those guys and getting used to, working with those guys day in and day out? Because I'm sure it's tough to juggle.
Yeah, this last week was the first time since I've been the head coach I was able to go back to working with the DBs. So since I had, pretty much became the head coach, I pretty much was hands off because there was so much other things I was working with, whether it was logistics, the way we practice, schedule, just so many different things I was trying to make sure I get a chance to accomplish or even get a grasp on. Now, this past week was the first week, like I say, in the course of the season, I was able to go back to working with the DBs.
Where are you at the quarterback position right now? Are you comfortable with where Keaton is at, or are you looking at competition as Jackson gets healthier?
Like I say, every position is always going to be a competition here, and that's the way it should be. Especially at USC, depth should never be an issue. So, we're fortunate enough that we have 2 really good players at that position, and, we even have a third that hasn't got a chance to touch the field yet. So, we're fortunate enough that those guys continue to battle because we have to put the best players on the field that give us a chance to win.
Couple weeks since we've been in the Coliseum. Obviously, it hasn't worked out that well. You win the first game in the Coliseum, and then some games where we didn't look like we were playing Trojan ball. How do you get the guys to, buy in and realize the importance of, defending home court, defending their field, and being about the Coliseum?
You know what? I think it's a day-to-day operation. Like, we have, our slogan, which is an ACE, right? ACE is being accountable, being competitive, and energy, right? And it leads all back into a want-to-know mentality. So just making sure that we accomplish those goals on day-to-day. And I think the guys here, because we have so many new guys, everybody sees some of the household names like the Drake Londons or the Drake Jackson, but at the same time, we have a lot of transfers. We have a lot of freshmen that are playing. Yeah. So some of them are just happy at times to be on the field more than they understand the importance of making sure we take care of home, right? This is home. So I think we'll get back to those ways this Saturday.
You mentioned Drake Jackson. Going into the season, I thought the pass rush was going to be a strong suit for this defense. Drake gets 1 sack last week, but overall struggle getting pressure on Cone. What's that group got to do to, heat up the quarterback?
Well, at the same time, this past game, we want to make sure we did everything also on defense to set the line of scrimmage. Like, that's why, you look at some of those plays, like they get the ball at the 3-yard line and we're able to hold them to a field goal, right, on first down. So it wasn't just about pretty much getting sacks or pressure on the quarterback. A lot of it was about making sure we set a precedent of making sure we establish the line of scrimmage. And a lot of Notre Dame's pass plays are set off the play action. So it's not the easiest just to get to the quarterback. But at the same time, we want to make sure we stop the home run ball for them, which they've been able to accomplish on quite a few teams this year. And, we did a good job of that.
All right, that's the head coach, Donte Williams. He'll get back to work here. Big week ahead as the Trojans come home and look for a win inside the Coliseum on homecoming Saturday. USC-Arizona kickoff is at 4 o'clock, and we will be live at 2 o'clock with the Trojan Tailgate Show from behind the end zone inside the Coliseum. Keontae Ingram got that running game going for USC in South Bend. We're going to talk to the senior Texas transfer next on Trojans Live.